Hello, it's Kirsty and I'm here with the chart for Vanessa Guillen, the private first class soldier who went missing on the 22nd of April. I've done 1 p.m. exactly, but just a few minutes before 1 looked really critical as well. It showed 29-degree ascendant and descendant and this 29-degree moon, but it says 1 o'clock, so we will go with that. Okay, so this is the chart here. I'll grab my pen. Okay, so the first thing we note is the ascendant, as always. It is in 3 degrees of Leo. The ruler of Leo is the sun. Now the sun is at 3 degrees of Taurus. So that means that they are 90 degrees away from each other. So that's her body. And then the representative of her body, the sun, at exactly 3 degrees each. Now, the perpetrator is, there we go, 3 degrees of Aquarius. Now, the ruler of Aquarius is Saturn. Before I erected this chart, the thing that I did not want to see was Saturn on the DC. The reason for that is I've read that there is an alleged sexual misconduct against one of her captain or somebody higher up in the armed forces. Now, when we have a DC of the rulership being Saturn, and then Saturn at 1 degree very close to it, that is an older authority figure, a boss, a father, a stepfather, grandfather, but mainly somebody in authority, and especially somebody in the military. Now, not only does this make a square to the sun here, but the descendant, at 3 degrees also squares this, her sun, exactly. So then we can see, if we go opposite like that, it makes that half a triangle, which is called a T-square. So we have the sun as a ruler of Vanessa, Saturn as the ruler of a possible perpetrator, and both of those are 90 degrees away from each other. Never draw a line. 90 degrees or a square between the sun and Saturn, the two rulers. So this shows me that there was a connection or relationship, or they knew each other. When the rulers of both the ascendant and the descendant form an aspect so closely, it shows me that she knew of this person. Now, the moon, as always, co-rules the victim. And as you'll see here, it is at 29 degrees of Aries. There's Aries there. So 29 degrees. Now, that's never a good sign. Obviously, I'm really hopeful that she's okay, but unfortunately, as you know, when we see this type of thing, the moon at 29 degrees of Aries, it's never a good. The moon is conjunct the sun, so both they're both her, these two, and they're in the 10th house, so that's become public. And also the 10th house is the natural representative of the armed forces. That's the place you look for the armed forces, because it's the natural ruler. The natural area and ruler of that house is Capricorn and Saturn, so it all goes to that 10th house there. Now, the 8th house, which is this line here, when we look to the 8th house, we always look for death, basically. The 8th house is also in Aquarius, just like the 7th house. So it is ruled by Saturn again. Now, this to me shows me something. Saturn sitting just below the DC shows me that this person has been watching her, and this wasn't just a spontaneous thing. He was watching her beforehand or going to do this anyway. The 8th house being in the same sign shows me that he was prepared to kill her when he was watching her. So I don't know how long he was watching her. It could have been anything up to really 2 months. But then the very last bit there, he could have been watching her for 2 or 3 days to see what her actual movements were and to come up with a plan. I feel like there's something planned here. Now we have Neptune in the 8th house of death. So when we see Neptune and Pisces, these two here, there is always an indication of either alcohol or drugs or not being in one's right mind. So it's a possibility that she's been drugged, or it can mean being taken as well and kidnapped. That's not a great solution, but it's better than being murdered, obviously. So I'm hopeful that this 8th house Neptune is that, and not poisoning or drowning is another thing that we can look at when we see Pisces and Neptune and Aquarius around this 8th house of death. Now, the IC, the end of the matter, we always look at it, is at 25 degrees of Libra. The ruler of Libra is Venus, and that's in Gemini, so we've got some double signs here. Okay. In all likelihood, she told a female about something that was bothering her. But whatever she told the female, which was her friend, came to fruition and happened, whatever she was scared of. Now, Libra being at the end of the matter, or the resting place, is indicative of areas where there's gardens and trees and whatnot. Not huge tall trees, but more mid-height, sort of human height, a little bit less than that. Gardens or places that are very pretty. And another thing we see here is Mars in the 7th house, which is the perpetrator's house. Mars is anger, and Mars is also a soldier. You know, Aries is the soldier. So Mars represents that as well. And that is making a trine to this Venus, which is at the end of the matter. So it puts a male and a female together in this scenario. So this female and male they're at 14 and 15 degrees. They aspect each other. That shows wanting a relationship, or sexual relationship, or otherwise. Now, that could be interpreted as then coming down here to the end of the matter, the ruler being Venus. She has said no, doesn't want to be involved in this, and then the end of the matter is related to what she said. Okay, what else do we have? In the 10th house, we have the Sun, which is ruling Vanessa, conjunct Uranus here, these two. Now, that means that something, although this hasn't happened quickly, and I mean non-premeditatively, I think this was premeditated, but I believe that when it actually happened, when she was in the car park, she was taken very quickly. And that's shown by Mars in the 7th house, which is quick, and then the Sun and Uranus, which is quick as well. It's like a bolt out of the blue. So that shows the quickness of it, but then the other thing, Saturn here, and the other areas that I said before, shows that this was actually premeditated and he was most likely watching her. Now let's just have a look at the map and see what we can see there. Okay, so here we have the Fort Hood, the area that Vanessa vanished from. I'll just zoom in because I know that she vanished from the car park of the 3rd, what's it called? The 3rd Cavalry. Yeah, that's it, the 3rd Cavalry. So that's this car park here, not this gift shop here, but here, the headquarters of the 3rd Cavalry. So I've put this as the area. Now, what I've done is gone out 2.9 miles for the moon, 3.4 miles for the ascendant and the descendant, and then all the way out to 29 miles for the moon. Now we have 3 main areas: the ascendant, which represents her body, herself. Then there's 2 lines here that form a wedge, which represents the perpetrator. And then these 2 lines here, which represent Vanessa as well. So we've got 2 possible good areas to look for Vanessa, and a third. But also it's possible that the perpetrator of this crime lives this direction or in this area. So let's zoom in. Okay, so here's the Sun at 3 degrees Taurus, and there's the Moon at 29 degrees Aries. So it gives us this tiny little wedge. If we start from the area, it goes up across this car park here into this bushland. Now I would absolutely be searching this track if you can get there. Not sure what that is. Well, I don't know the height. It's a bit mountainous, I think. All the edges along here, I would be looking there. Just go all the way. There's this bushland here. It's going to be greenery if she is deceased. I feel quite sure of that. We've got a lot of green here going all the way out. Now it crosses over Cowhouse Creek. So that's an interesting point. I would be looking there if you can get there. There's a road. This road is, I'm sure there's access. You go further up and cross Doesn't say the road. Through Flat. Past North Highway 36. Across 931. 337. 29 miles is a long way. If you went a little bit further, it'd be about Tonkawa Falls. But the very edge is Cedar Rock Parkway, Pop Tropica. Yeah, this area here. People familiar with the area will know a lot more than me, obviously. So that is the lines that represent Vanessa. Now we'll go in and look at the lines that represent the perpetrator. Okay, so the Saturn line and the descendant line goes past Rugged Hall, Hell on Wheels Ave, whatever this block of something is, 27th Street, across Ivy Division Road and Murphy Road, through this whole section here. I'm not sure what this is. 37th Street, there's some bushland through there, and then we get to a point here on South Range Road and 53rd Street, and then it follows South Range Road. So when that happens, it's very important to look on both sides of this road. Now, for both Vanessa and possibly the person that did this. Pilot Knob Rifle 0, someone who goes there. The gun range. Old Jack Mountain Road. Just follows West Range Road all the way along. Starts to go a bit inland. Into the bush again, across House Creek, then onto Elijah Road, Old Georgetown Road, across Table Rock Creek, across the 116 highway, Perryman Creek, across the 580, the 53, crossing onto Harmon Road, following Harmon Road, past Hillsdale Cemetery, 1690, Farm Road 1690. Then let's go over here. This is the last line I would look for now, and that's the Ascendant Line. This, if she is alive, she would be on this line, I would assume. So it goes through apartments, suburban area, Pizza Hut, Jack's Stereo, Bush's Chicken. CCTV should be taken around here. More apartments, Creekwood Apartments, right in the middle of Teleperformance. I don't know what that is. CCTV again is always very handy when we have these areas. Then it goes out into the bush sort of land, across the highway, Nola Ruth Boulevard, East US Highway 190, Oh, okay, sorry. This big body of water here off the East FM 2410 road. I'm not sure what that is. That goes across this Stillhouse Hollow Lake, Chalk Ridge Falls Park, and through Sparks. Okay, so that's the 3 areas of interest. Up through here, well, it goes through Flat, Leon Junction, near Oglesby, those other places that I said this way, and down here, Harker Heights, Nolanville, Sparks, etc. Okay, so there are more lines that can be used, but I prefer to keep them to myself. But basically, if I was a search party, these would be the areas that I would be looking. I'll see you next time. See ya. Bye-bye.